Hey y'all, welcome to the Traveling Tony channel. I'm Traveling Tony. Make sure to share this video with your friends and hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to our channel. Um, Today is October the 23rd and it is 2020, the year 2020. And today I want to talk to you more about my childhood, which as a grown up, I realized how interesting it was, and how it made me be the person that I am. And I just want to go over it with you pretty quickly as I can because it's quite a bit to tell, but I want to try to uh, compact it all in a few minutes. First, right now, like I said, it's October, so it's fall. The leaves are beginning to fall, and I live with my parents as an only child, and my parents both work. We were working class people. I consider us working class poor. We wasn't on food stamps or anything like that, but we were poor as far as I'm concerned. Had a great childhood, great parents, and but we had two pecan trees in the front yard. And my parents come from hard times, and they bettered themselves as years went by. So, but I guess they never forgot how hard times were. So, anyway, we got these two pecan trees in our front yard, and back in the day, people still do. They pick up pecans and sell them, but my parents didn't have to do that. We wasn't that bad off, but they weren't gonna let those pecans go to waste either. So we would all gather out there in the fall because that's when the pecans fall down, and we pick them up. And of course, in the fall, it's beginning to get cool, and then even to the point where it starts getting cold because the pecans just start falling off the trees. And we had a busy street right in front of our house, and the trees were close to the street. Trees were close to the street, so my dad would have a baseball bat or some big 2x4, and he'd throw it up in the trees to knock the pecans down because the trees were big and tall. Or he'd have a big old long cane pole, which some black used to go fishing with. And he'd stick it up there and shake the trees, and shake the branches and try to knock the pecans out. And if they fell in the street, my dad would try to keep the cars from running over them because cars would go up and down that road. And so we had a shop broom or regular house broom, and we try to sweep them to the curb to keep the cars from running over them so we could keep them. And the trees were really good trees. They gave us good pecans. So therefore, my parents weren't going to let them go to waste. And being that my dad was the man, he was in control of the bat and the stick, and the cane, should I say. And I was in control of the brooms, the picking up of the pecans, and putting them in the sack. That was my job, and that was my chore. And so we would try to save as many as we could. And back in the day, we had these sacks that were the paper brown sacks, and they were good and thick. And sometimes we would double ply them together because the pecans would get kind of heavy sometimes. And we didn't keep them all because it was way too many. By the time the season was over, I bet we could put all the pecans in a 50-gallon barrel, and it might be more than that could go in a 50-gallon drum. And so that's how many pecans there were, and it was good to keep these pecans because, like I said, some people would sell these pecans, but we had big families. So between my dad's family and my mom's family, we had enough people that and friends. We didn't sell them and we didn't keep them all because it just couldn't. They would ruin. And so that was my job in the fall to pick up the pecans, and that was a chore. Of course, and I had to rake the leaves when the leaves would fall off the tree. Man, that was something else. And that was the front yard. And then we had the backyard. The backyard was my job was to mow the front and the back. But in the backyard in the summertime, my job was to. My mom taught me how to use the wash machine and wash clothes, and except for maybe hers, leave her clothes alone, wash dad's and mine. And so then we didn't have dryers back in the day. If we did, not everybody had one, and so we would hang these clothes out on a clothesline. And some people might not know what a clothesline is. The older generation does, but people like my grandson, the young generation, don't know what they are. A clothesline would be like a big old a T-shaped pipe pipe that's planted in the ground and bolted down with cement, and it might be like 6 feet tall or 5 to 6 feet tall, and it'd be two of them, and they might be 10 yards away from each other, separate, but facing each other, and they would have wires that go from one to the other. It might be 2 or 4 wires, and them the wires which we call clothesline, and you'd hang your clothes on with a clothespin, and you take your wet clothes out in the basket to the backyard where the line was at, and you grab these clothes and shake them a little bit to try to knock some of the wrinkles out of them, and hang them up on the clothesline with the clothespin. And that's what we did. And so that was the chore for me to have to do that. But the other chore was that I had to maintain the backyard. And we had the stickers. Whoo, the stickers were bad back in the day. I think they still are, but they were really bad back in the day that I remember. And so you didn't want the sticker sticking you. So you wanted to mow the yard before you hung out some clothes. So if you knew you were going to have to hang out some clothes on Monday and the yard needed mowing, you want to mow it before you hang out your clothes so that you wouldn't have to deal with the long grass and the stickers and things. So I was always busy as a kid and trying to learn how to do things and in a manner that made it easy for you. So, and then once the clothes dried, you'd have to take them back off the clothesline, and sometimes you would fold them before you put them in the basket a little bit, just so they wouldn't get so wrinkled. You fold them a little bit, and then you take them in the house and go in, and then you separate them again, and moms and dads and whatever. And so that was quite of a chore to do that. And it taught me organization skills and discipline. And that's when I started noticing my horny toads. You know, you had horny toads back in the day. So I tell you, my childhood was full of a lot of things. And the other issue I want to touch on was the air conditioner system. The air conditioner system that we had back in the day there was no central air heat, and there was no window units for central air heat. We had what they call swamp coolers, which was nothing but a big barrel, a big air conditioning system that was put in your window, and it had a barrel in it and it was operated by electricity, and it would go round and round, and it would catch air and throw it into your house. But on the outside of this contraption, it had pads on it that would hold water, kind of, and the water would get these pads saturated, and when the barrel would operate and go around and around and throw air in the house, it would pull the air from outside of the house through the pads. And if the pads were wet, then the air would be cool and come into your house. But once that mechanism continued to operate like that, eventually it would suck all the water out of the pad. So after a while it was still running, the air would get warm. So you didn't want the warm air coming in your house, so you would have to babysit the swamp cooler every so often, or every hour or so. You'd have to go back out and water the padding again just to keep the air cool coming in your house. But so that was another chore. So my life was full of chores growing up, and it made me the man I am today. And I tell you, that was a lot of fun, and I wouldn't have it any other way now. So I'll come back with you later with some more interesting tidbits about chores or things that happened to me when I was growing up. Thank you so much. Be nice to each other.